Stop scrolling. The deepest ocean falls nearly 11,000 meters, and only about a quarter is mapped well. Soon, hear sound travel far. Tap like or save. Dim your screen. Let the descent think. Let us begin with a simple descent map, like a quiet ladder into the sea. We will use 5 depth zones, so your mind can rest on familiar steps. Scientists also have longer names for these layers, and we may use them softly along the way. They are called epipelagic, mesopelagic, bathypelagic, abyssopelagic, and Hadal. The first layer is the sunlit zone, from the surface down to about 200 meters. Here, sunlight can still power photosynthesis, and the water often feels alive and busy. At 200 meters, the light thins, and we enter the twilight zone, down to about 1,000 meters. Below that is the midnight zone, from about 1,000 to 4,000 meters. Midnight water is calm and black, with life that moves slowly and waits patiently. Next comes the abyss, from about 4,000 to 6,000 meters over wide plains of soft sediment. Then we reach the Hadal trenches, deeper than about 6,000 meters, descending toward nearly 1,000. If you like, you can memorize the gentle anchors. 200, 1,000, 4,000, 6,000, 1,000. If you lose your place, just return to the anchors and listen for the next layer name. Slow and safe. We will return to those numbers the way you might return to a steady breath. Now, beneath the zones, 4 things change in predictable ways with depth. The first is light, which fades quickly, then disappears, and later is replaced by living glow. In sunlit water, light comes from above, and shadows have clear edges. In twilight, the edges soften, and shapes become suggestions more than outlines. In midnight and below, any light is usually made by animals in small, controlled flashes. The second change is temperature, which generally cools as you go down. Much of the deep ocean settles into a chilly range, often around 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. It is not the same everywhere, but the trend is steady and soothing. Deeper often means colder. The third change is pressure, which increases with every meter of depth. A useful rhythm is about 1 atmosphere of pressure for every 10 meters downward. At 100 meters, that is about 10 extra atmospheres pressing evenly from all sides. At 1,000 meters, it becomes about 100 extra atmospheres, like a slow, heavy blanket of force. Pressure does not pinch. It simply surrounds, and deep creatures are built to match it. The fourth change is food, which becomes rarer as the sunlight disappears. Near the surface, food can be fresh and frequent, made from drifting plankton and small plants. Deeper down, much of dinner arrives as tiny particles that fall slowly, like soft snow. That gentle fall is often called marine snow, and it feeds wide areas in quiet, small amounts. Sometimes there are bigger surprises, like a sinking fish or a whale fall on the seafloor. Those rare meals can support a temporary crowd, then fade back into stillness. Alongside our 4 main changes, there are also layers of oxygen and moving water. Currents can form slow rivers in the sea, and oxygen can rise and fall by depth. We will meet those patterns later as a kind of invisible weather, steady and unhurried. For now, keep the map simple and let your mind relax into the predictable layers. With this structure in place, we can start near the surface and drift down as the light fades. We begin in the sunlit zone, but at night it feels like a different ocean. The same water is here, yet the light source changes and everything quiets down. Above, the surface is a dark ceiling with a soft, moving sheen. Below, life keeps working, but it does so in calmer, hidden ways. Near many coasts, kelp forests rise like slow, underwater canopies. Kelp is not a plant, but it behaves like a forest in the way it shapes a habitat. It anchors to rock with a holdfast, a gripping base that acts like a living knot. From that holdfast, flexible stems reach upward, searching for brighter water. Broad blades spread out near the top, forming shade and shelter. When you drift through kelp, it can feel like entering a quieter room. The long fronds sway and fold, and the motion is gentle and repetitive. Many animals use that moving shade as cover. At night, some fish tuck themselves into safer corners and become still. Others wait until darkness, then feed in small, careful bursts. Small crabs and snails may creep along blades like slow climbers. Sea urchins may graze, steady and patient, like tiny lawn keepers. Kelp forests thrive where cold water brings nutrients up from below. That rising water is often called upwelling, and it can feed an entire coastal web. Nutrients help microscopic life grow, and that growth supports larger life. It is a quiet chain, but it reaches far. Even the water itself can feel different in a kelp forest. The dense canopy can soften waves and reduce the push of currents. Sound can feel muffled there too, as if the forest gently breaks it up. If you imagine a place to rest, kelp shade is one calm option. Now, we drift from kelp to coral, another kind of living structure. A coral reef is not a rock garden in the usual sense. It is built by tiny animals, coral polyps, living close together. Each polyp makes a hard home of calcium carbonate, like stone grown slowly. Over time, many small homes become a reef, and the reef becomes a city. In daylight, reefs can be bright and busy. At night, the same reef becomes softer, and the motion changes. Some daytime fish settle into crevices and hover in place. Other creatures begin a quieter shift, a gentle night routine. You might notice small shrimp moving like careful cleaners. You might see crabs stepping from shadow to shadow. You might spot slow grazers nibbling films of algae without hurry. Even at night, there can be enough light for orientation. Moonlight and starlight can seep down as a faint, silvery wash. In shallow water, that faint light can help animals keep their sense of direction. Now we add one more soft idea: fluorescence. Fluorescence is not the same as making light from scratch. It is more like catching light, then releasing it as a different color. A coral can absorb one color and re-emit a gentler glow. It can look like a subtle neon fog, but calm and natural. This glow depends on outside light, even if that light is very dim. Bioluminescence is different, and we will meet it more and more as we descend. Bioluminescence is a living chemical reaction that makes light without heat. Fluorescence is a quiet transformation of light that already exists. Both can feel magical, yet both are simply biology doing its work. If you could rest in one place, would it be kelp shade or coral stone? You do not have to answer. Just let the question pass by like a slow bubble. Now we return to the surface, where night can glitter in a surprising way. Sometimes the ocean seems to hold stars inside it. A calm boat wake can draw temporary lines of light behind it. Each small swirl can spark, then fade, then spark again. This is often caused by tiny drifting organisms called dinoflagellates. They can flash when water movement gently disturbs them. It is not anger, and it is not heat. It is a simple response, like a tap turning on a brief signal. Most ocean light is blue-green, and there is a quiet reason for that. Blue-green wavelengths travel farther through seawater than many other colors. So a blue-green glow can be seen from farther away, even when it is faint. Many deep-sea animals also see blue-green light especially well. Near the surface, this shimmering can be delicate and soothing. It is like watching soft sparks in slow motion. And then it disappears, leaving the water dark again. Sometimes people report something even stranger, called a milky sea. In a milky sea, the surface can glow steadily over a wide area. It is rare, and it is still studied carefully when it is observed. Some evidence suggests luminous bacteria may play a role in certain cases. The idea is calm. Countless tiny lights, each small, together making a pale wash. Most nights, though, the ocean stays dark with only brief flashes here and there. Now we notice something human resting quietly in the Sunlit Zone. Shallow shipwrecks can become accidental reefs over time. A wreck is hard structure in a place that may otherwise be sand or mud. That hard surface invites life to attach. Sponges may settle first, filtering water in slow, steady pulses. Anemones may open like soft flowers that do not drift away. Small corals can colonize metal and wood as if it were natural rock. Fish may circle the frame, using it as a landmark. If you look at the sand near a wreck, you can sometimes read the currents. Ripples and small dunes can form patterns that point to moving water. A debris field, scattered slowly outward, can show how storms and tides pull. Time changes a wreck in gentle, persistent steps. Salt water and oxygen encourage slow corrosion. Microbes can speed some decay, nibbling metal in invisible ways. Rust forms, flakes and falls, and new surfaces are exposed. It is chemistry moving at ocean pace, not in a rush. Even so, wrecks often last long enough to become part of the local seascape. They turn into quiet habitats and then into memories. Later, much deeper, we will meet cables and wrecks in true darkness. For now, we stay near the top where night still feels open and wide. The Sunlit Zone is called sunlit because of what it can do in the day. But at night, it becomes a gentle threshold, the last layer that ever sees dawn directly. Above it, air and sky. Below it, the slow fade toward permanent night. As daylight falls away, the ocean becomes a dim hallway. And in that dim hallway, the busiest migration on Earth begins. If this is helping, save this video. So tonight's routine is one calm tap away, whenever you need it. Now we drift into the Twilight Zone, where daylight becomes a soft rumor. It lies beneath the bright surface, from about 200 meters down toward 1,000. Here, the ocean looks blue not because it is bright, but because most other colors have faded. Red light disappears first, then orange and yellow, leaving cooler tones behind. Water is a careful filter, and every meter turns the dimmer down a little more. Tiny particles float everywhere, and they scatter the remaining light into a gentle haze. Instead of clear shadows, you get soft edges and quiet gradients. It can feel like swimming in early evening that never quite ends. At the top of Twilight, you still sense the day above you, like a distant lamp behind a curtain. As you sink deeper, that lamp fades, and the water becomes a cooler, steadier blue. Depth here works like a smooth dial, and the change is gradual enough to relax into. If you look up, the brightest direction is always above, even when it is very faint. If you look down, the color deepens into navy, then into near black. This in-between feeling is why Twilight can seem peaceful, neither day nor full night. In this half-light, many animals are built for sensitivity rather than speed. Some have large eyes that drink in what little glow remains. Others have pupils that open wide, like dark windows at night. Some species carry reflective layers behind the retina, so faint light gets a second pass. That reflection can make an eye shine back when a beam crosses it. Retinas may be packed with cells tuned for low light, trading sharp detail for awareness. Some animals have eyes that aim upward because the glow above is the main clue to shapes. Others have lenses that gather light efficiently, like a camera set for the dark. A few species have tubular eyes, like small periscopes tuned for dim water. You do not need to picture details, just the idea of eyes adapted for softness. In Twilight, movement matters. So many creatures keep their motion small and measured. They may hover, then drift, then hover again, conserving energy between moments. In the Twilight Zone, seeing is often about motion and contrast, not fine color. Even a small flicker can matter because it could be food or a warning or a friend. Now imagine the ocean as an elevator that moves once each day. It is a very slow elevator, carrying living passengers up at night and down by day. Now, about that daily elevator, it does not move everyone the same distance. Some travelers rise only a little, while others climb hundreds of meters each night. The trip is timed to darkness, because darkness is a kind of cover. Near the surface at night, plankton can be plentiful, like a thin soup of food. Small migrants feed, store energy, and then retreat before the sky brightens. This routine reduces the chance of being spotted by hunters that rely on vision. It is a simple trade: more food above, more safety below. Over many nights, the pattern becomes a habit written into biology. This is called daily vertical migration, and it is one of Earth's largest regular movements of animals. During the night, many small creatures rise toward the surface to feed. With darkness overhead, the risk of being seen is lower, so they can graze more freely. When morning returns, they sink back down, returning to dim shelter. This up and down rhythm repeats every 24 hours, steady and reliable. If it helps, picture it as a tide made of bodies rising and falling in silence. On sonar, this migration can show up as a moving band in the water. That band is often called the deep scattering layer because it reflects sound waves. Early echo sounders once mistook this layer for the seafloor because it reflected sound so well. Then researchers noticed it rose at dusk and sank at dawn, like a living horizon. That discovery turned a mystery into a rhythm, and the rhythm became a tool for study. Even today, the deep scattering layer is a reminder that the ocean has hidden crowds. It is not a single species, but a crowd of many small lives sharing the same schedule. Lanternfish, small shrimp-like crustaceans, and delicate drifting animals can all be part of it. Some are no bigger than a fingernail, yet together they make a layer you can detect from afar. The Twilight Zone is busy in a calm way, like a city seen through fog. This daily commute also moves food and carbon through the ocean. When animals feed near the surface, they take in carbon from recent plankton growth. When they return downward, they carry that carbon deeper in their bodies and waste. Over time, that helps move carbon from the surface ocean into deeper layers. Scientists call this part of the biological pump, like a slow conveyor belt. It is not a dramatic pump, but a quiet, continuous one. Even your calm breathing can match that idea of slow transfer, in and out. Now, life in Twilight has to solve a tricky visibility problem. There is still a faint glow from above, so silhouettes can stand out. Predators can look upward and spot anything darker than the water. So many animals try to erase their own shadow from below. One method is counter-illumination, using light to match the faint glow overhead. Counter-illumination can be adjustable, with some animals brightening or dimming to match the sky. It is matching, not shining, like carefully blending paint until the edge disappears. Other animals choose darkness instead, wearing deep reds or blacks that vanish in blue light. In Twilight, red can look like black because there is little red light to reflect. They may carry photophores, small light organs on the belly side. The glow is usually soft and blue, just enough to blend, not enough to shout. It is like turning on a tiny night light under a boat so the whole disappears. The animal becomes harder to outline and the water looks smooth again. Another method is reflection, using silver sides like living mirrors. Some fish are so reflective that they borrow the ocean's look and wear it. From the side, they can vanish into the same tones and textures around them. Reflection works best when the light is scattered, and Twilight provides that scatter. Some animals go even farther and become partly transparent. If there is less body to see, there is less shape to catch the eye. Jelly-like creatures can be nearly invisible until they move. Even then, their motion can be slow and drifting, not sharp or sudden. Twilight is full of these half-seen forms, existing in gentle half-shadows. In such dim water, sight is not the only sense that matters. Smell can travel as a thin trail, and many animals track it patiently. Some hunters search for scent trails, and their eyes can be smaller because smell does the work. Long antennae and sensitive feelers can detect a passing swirl in the water. To a small creature, a faint pressure wave can be as informative as a picture. Even a slow pulse from a nearby fin can be read as distance and direction. Chemicals spread and mix, and a skilled nose can read the water like a map. Some creatures feel water movement directly, using pressure sensors along the body. Fish have a lateral line, a subtle system that detects vibrations and flow changes. It is like touch at a distance, sensing a nearby fin beat without contact. For a drifting animal, that information can mean safety, or a meal, or a place to hold still. Some larger animals use sound to sense their surroundings as well. Dolphins and some whales make clicks and listen for echoes, building a picture from returning sound. Think of it as soft geometry, shapes drawn in time instead of light. In the Twilight Zone, sound can reach farther than sight, with less effort. Later, we will explore ocean pathways that carry sound for great distances, like a whispering hallway. For now, just notice how the ocean offers many ways to know what is nearby. Now we return to light again, because in Twilight, light becomes a language. A flash can say, "I am here," or "I am not food," or "follow me." Some species have signature patterns, like quiet name tags made of pulses. These patterns can help individuals find their own kind in the dim crowd. Light signals can also reduce confusion, helping animals keep from chasing the wrong shadow. A brief flash can say, "wrong species," or "wrong size," or "do not bother." And sometimes the message is simply "stay with me" and keep the same gentle pace. Schools may use tiny signals to keep spacing without bumping into each other. In a loose group, a small glow can mark the direction of travel. Sometimes light is used as a lure, a gentle bait held out in darkness. A small point can attract curious prey that swims closer to investigate. Then the light may snap off, returning the water to stillness. Even when the light is used for hunting, it is often brief and economical. Making light costs energy, so many animals spend it carefully. You can imagine each flash as a single word, then a pause. And the pauses are long enough to feel restful, like spaces between thoughts. If you are still awake, you might enjoy one more repetition of our calm elevator image. Up at night, down by day, over and over, without hurry. Twilight becomes a steady corridor where this movement happens on schedule. The deeper we go, the more that corridor darkens, and the more important living light becomes. So now that Twilight is full of tiny signals, we can zoom in on how life makes glow at all. In the twilight and below, light often comes from life itself. It is not sunlight returning. It is a tiny reaction happening on purpose in the dark. Bioluminescence means making light inside a living body. It is often called cold light because very little heat is produced. That matters in cold water, where energy is precious. Most glowing animals cannot afford to waste fuel. So the ocean learned an elegant trick, light that is efficient and brief. You can imagine it as a soft pulse. Glow, then fade. Glow, then fade. That rhythm can be comforting, like a slow lighthouse that never shouts. At the heart of many glows is a light-making molecule called luciferin. There is also often a helper protein called luciferase. Together with oxygen, they can release energy as a photon of light. A photon is simply a small packet of light. The chemistry is quiet, but the effect is visible. A tiny spark appears, then dissolves into darkness. Different species use different versions of these molecules. The details vary, but the theme repeats: a controlled reaction, timed for a purpose. Bioluminescence has evolved many times across ocean life. It is like arriving at the same solution from many different paths. When darkness is common, light becomes a useful tool. Some glows are steady, like a dim lantern held close. Others are quick flashes, like a blink. Some are slow waves that travel along a body, like a calm signal moving down a line. Would you prefer a steady glow or brief flashes? You do not need to answer. Just notice how both styles can exist in the same ocean. To make light, an animal also needs control. Control means choosing when to glow. and when to stop. A flash can be a sentence, and a pause can be silence. Silence is just as important as light. Many glowing organs have layers that reflect light outward. Some have screens that diffuse it, so it looks soft instead of sharp. Some can hide their glow behind skin folds or small shutters. The shutter closes, and the water goes dark again. This control keeps light from becoming a constant beacon. Now let us talk about color, because color matters underwater. Seawater does not treat all colors equally. Longer wavelengths fade sooner, and shorter wavelengths travel farther. That is why blue-green light is so common in the sea. It is the color that carries best through water. It is also the color many deep animals can see most easily. So blue-green becomes a shared language. A glow that travels farther can reach a mate, or warn a neighbor, or lure prey. Blue-green is efficient in distance, not only in chemistry. If you see a faint turquoise flicker in your imagination, you are close to the ocean's usual hue. Some animals shift the color slightly toward green or toward blue. The shift can change how far it travels and who can notice it. In very deep water, even a small advantage can matter. Now, red light is different. Red does not travel far in seawater, so it is less common as a natural signal. But rare does not mean useless. For a few deep fish, red can be a secret tool. Some species can make red light or see it better than their neighbors. One example often discussed is a group called dragonfish. Some dragonfish have photophores that can produce a red glow. It can act like a private headlight in near total darkness. Many nearby animals cannot see that red well, so the beam is harder to notice. In that way, red can be a quiet spotlight. It is like reading with a dim lamp that others do not recognize as light. In the deep, being unnoticed can be a kind of safety, and being able to see without being seen can be useful for hunting. Even then, the light is usually controlled and brief. A red glow does not need to travel far. It only needs to reach a small target, a short distance away. This is one reason the ocean keeps returning to blue-green for long-range signaling, and keeps red when it appears as a close, careful tool. Now, let us move from animals to bacteria, because bacteria can glow too. Some ocean bacteria make light as part of their normal chemistry. On their own, the glow can be faint. But in large groups, it can become more noticeable. Many luminous bacteria glow more strongly when they are crowded together. Crowding becomes a signal that it is time to shine. In the ocean, some animals invite these bacteria inside. They build a small light organ like a sheltered room. The host provides food, warmth, and a safe place to live. The bacteria provide light on demand, like a living lamp. This is a partnership, a calm trade of needs. The animal does not need to make the light chemistry from scratch. The bacteria do it well, as a community, and the animal gains control by shaping the light organ. Some hosts have lids, shutters, or rotating parts that aim the glow. Open, and the light spills out. Close, and it disappears. Some can even dim the glow by limiting oxygen to the bacteria. Less oxygen, less reaction, less light. More oxygen, more glow. It is a gentle dial, not an on and off switch. A classic use for this bacterial light is camouflage in twilight water. If a predator looks up, it may see your silhouette as a dark shape. But if you glow softly from below, you can match the faint light above. The silhouette softens and the outline fades. This is counter-illumination, but powered by borrowed bacteria. Another use is communication. Like a steady porch light in a dark neighborhood, a pair can find each other by a familiar glow. A group can stay together by a shared dim beacon. Scientists study these bacteria in careful laboratory settings. They can grow them, watch how brightness changes, and learn how the glow is regulated. It is a simple way to study signaling in living systems. Light becomes a readable output without loud disturbances. Now we come to defense, because not all light is friendly. Sometimes light is a shield. Sometimes it is a distraction. In the deep, a sudden flash can startle a predator for a moment. That moment can be enough to drift away. A flash can also confuse aim, like a camera flare in the dark. Some animals release glowing particles into the water. The particles spread into a drifting cloud like glowing smoke. The predator sees the cloud, not the animal. The animal slips into the darker water beside it. Some species release glowing mucus, a soft, luminous veil. It clings and swirls, and it draws attention away. Because it drifts, it also changes shape constantly. That changing shape is harder to track. You can picture it like slow underwater fireworks, but gentle, not explosive. Even defense can look peaceful from a distance. Another strategy is the decoy. Some animals can shed a small piece of body, and the piece glows. The predator grabs the glowing piece, and the animal escapes. This is a form of self-detachment called autotomy. It sounds dramatic, but it is a practiced survival tool in some lineages. The lost piece may wriggle and glow for a short time. Wriggle, glow, then stillness. Meanwhile, the animal keeps moving away in the dark. There is also a defense, sometimes called the burglar alarm effect. A prey animal flashes brightly when attacked. The flash may attract a larger predator. The attacker may then be at risk and may let go. It is a risky plan, but in the deep, attention can change everything. Even so, many animals prefer small, controlled glows rather than big flares. Because big flares can also draw the wrong kind of interest. So the ocean balances two needs: be seen by the right ones and unseen by the rest. Now let us return to calm and think about why glow is so widespread. In deep water, vision is limited. A small light extends vision by a little, like reaching a hand into the dark. Light can also replace touch, so animals do not have to collide to interact. A flash can say, "I am here." A pattern can say, "I am the same kind as you." A steady glow can mark a direction or safe following distance. A lure can say, "Come closer." Then silence returns. The deep ocean is mostly silence and darkness, with short moments of signal. That pattern is restful to imagine. Signal, pause. Signal, pause. Now we will take a small detour to humans, because we learned from this chemistry. Biologists use light-making systems as tools in research. They borrow the genes that make light or glow. Then they place those genes into cells they want to study. If the cells are active in a certain way, the light appears. If the activity stops, the light fades. This gives scientists a gentle indicator, like a tiny status lamp. One famous example is green fluorescent protein, first found in a jellyfish. It glows under the right light, and it can be attached to other proteins like a tag. Another commonly used tool is a luciferase system, similar to those in fireflies. When the right chemical is present, a soft bioluminescent signal appears. Researchers can track gene expression by watching that light change over time. They can do it without harsh illumination that might stress living tissues. Light becomes a measurement, not a spectacle. Brightness becomes a clue, not a show. In medical and biological research, these tools help map where and when processes happen. They help reveal development, healing, and the behavior of cells. It is a quiet benefit from ocean and land chemistry alike. A deep-sea glow, reimagined as a gentle marker in a microscope. Now let us bring all of this back to your descent. In the deep, light is never random. It is chosen, shaped, timed, and often conserved. It is chemistry plus control plus purpose. And in cold water, efficiency is a kind of beauty. Glow without heat, light without waste. Just enough to matter, then back to darkness. If you are still awake, you can rest on a simple thought. The ocean makes its own stars, and those stars blink in calm patterns. With light understood, we can add the other great invisible tool of the ocean, sound, carried by moving water. Now we add something you cannot see, but the ocean carries everywhere. Sound. Underwater, sound travels with surprising ease. Water is dense, so vibrations move through it efficiently. You can imagine sound as long, smooth waves spreading out like gentle rings. The waves do not have to fight thin air. They move through a heavy, continuous medium. That is why listening is so important in ocean science. It is also why the sea has its own quiet soundscape. Now, sound does not travel the same way at every depth. The speed of sound in seawater changes with temperature, salinity, and pressure. Warm water tends to carry sound a little faster than cold water. Saltier water also tends to increase sound speed gently. And pressure increases with depth, which also increases sound speed. So there is a tug of influences all at once. Near the surface, the water may be warmer, so sound can move faster. As you descend into colder layers, sound speed can drop. Then, deeper still, pressure begins to dominate and sound speed rises again. This creates a curve in the sound speed profile with depth. A curve is important because sound bends. When sound enters layers where its speed changes, its path can gently arc. Not a sharp turn, but a slow bending. Like a long note drifting through layered fog. Some sounds are high and bright and they fade quickly underwater. Higher frequency sounds are absorbed more strongly by seawater. Lower frequency sounds can travel much farther. They carry their energy across large distances, like a slow pulse. If you like, picture one deep note. It leaves its source, spreads outward, and keeps going quietly for a long time. Now we come to the open loop from earlier. Yes, the ocean really does have a kind of whisper lane. It is called the SOFAR channel. That stands for sound fixing and ranging. It is a natural layer where sound can travel unusually far. The idea is simple and soothing. There is a depth where sound speed reaches a minimum. Above that depth, sound tends to bend downward. Below that depth, sound tends to bend upward. So sound rays curve back toward the center of the layer. They become trapped in a gentle corridor, a hallway of water for certain kinds of sound. The sound does not escape easily to the surface or the deep seafloor, so it loses less energy and it can travel across ocean basins. This channel is not at exactly the same depth everywhere. It changes with region and season because the ocean is not uniform. But the concept holds, a midwater zone that guides sound. Whales can benefit from this because some whale calls are low frequency. A call can travel far beyond the whale's immediate neighborhood, not as a loud shout, but as a persistent message. It can cross layers and keep its shape enough to be recognized. Scientists also benefit from this whisper lane. Researchers place hydrophones in the water to listen. A hydrophone is an underwater microphone. With them, scientists can hear storms, even from far away. They can detect distant earthquakes that shake the seafloor. They can listen to ice cracking and shifting in polar regions. They can track the rumble of underwater landslides. The ocean records many events as sound, then carries the record outward. It is one reason the sea feels connected, even across huge distances. If you like calm images, imagine a long note floating down a corridor. It brushes past layers, but keeps returning to the middle. It does not hurry. It simply continues. Now we pair sound with another invisible feature, currents. Currents are the ocean's moving water, its slow circulation. Some are fast enough to notice at the surface. Many are slow, steady, and persistent. A current can be thought of as invisible weather. Not clouds and wind, but moving layers and shifting density. Near the surface, winds help push water into broad, rotating patterns. These surface currents are part of what we call gyres. They can gather warm water and move it across basins. They can also carry floating life and drifting debris. But beneath the surface, another driver becomes important: density. Colder water is often denser than warmer water. Saltier water is also denser than fresher water. When water becomes dense enough, it sinks. When it sinks, it can form deep currents that move along the ocean floor. This is part of the thermohaline circulation. Thermo means heat and haline refers to salt. Together, they describe how temperature and salinity shape density. The full system is sometimes described as a global conveyor. That image can be helpful as long as we keep it calm. It is not a fast belt. It is a slow, planet-sized drift that takes a very long time. Water can sink in one region and spread into the deep ocean. Elsewhere, water can rise slowly, returning to the surface over time. In the deep, these currents are like gentle rivers in darkness. They do not splash. They slide. They curve around seafloor hills and through wide basins. They carry oxygen and nutrients, and they shape temperature layers. Currents can also form boundaries, like soft borders between water masses. One body of water can be slightly warmer or saltier than the one beside it. Where they meet, they may not mix instantly. They can form a layered structure, like sheets of silk slipping over each other. Those layers support internal waves. Internal waves are like surface waves, but they move along density layers underwater. They can be slow and wide, rolling through the deep like a quiet breath. They lift and lower water in long motions, sometimes over many kilometers. Even in darkness, the ocean is not still. It is moving in restrained, patient ways. Now let us connect currents back to sound. Sound can be refracted by layers, and those layers are shaped by temperature and salinity. So the ocean's motion and its sound pathways are linked. A current can bring warmer water into a region, shifting the sound speed slightly. A freshwater layer from rain or melting ice can change salinity near the surface. These are small changes, but in a layered ocean, small changes matter. They can gently reshape where sound bends and where it travels best. It is another form of invisible weather, but for listening. Now let us imagine the deep ocean as a place with a steady background hum, not a loud hum. A quiet mixture of many sources far away. Some sources are biological. Some fish make low grunts or pulses during courtship or territory. Some whales make long calls that travel through layers. Dolphins can click, though their clicks are higher frequency and do not travel as far as the deepest notes. In some places near the surface, snapping shrimp can make a crackling soundscape. But we will keep that image gentle, like distant fizz rather than sharp noise. In deeper water, you might also imagine the soft movement of schools, the brushing of fins, the faint thrum of life. Other sources are geological. Earthquakes send sound through the water and the seafloor. Submarine volcanoes can create low rumbles. Hydrothermal vents can hiss and pulse as hot water meets cold seawater. Those sounds are often too faint to notice without instruments, but they exist. They are part of the planet's slow activity. And then there are human sounds. Ships moving across the surface can send low-frequency noise downward. Sonar systems can produce pings that travel far in certain conditions. Construction and drilling in some regions can add more noise. Even distant activity can be detected because the ocean carries sound so well. This is why scientists also study ocean noise as an environmental factor. Many animals rely on sound for communication and navigation. So the ocean soundscape is not just background, it is information. If you find it relaxing, imagine a single long note again. It moves forward while currents slide beneath it. The note bends, then returns, then bends again. It drifts through a corridor, the whisper lane, and keeps going. A calm message traveling through a layered world. Now, as we descend, we will leave behind the last strong traces of daylight. The twilight will thin until it is mostly memory. Sound will remain and currents will remain. They are the ocean's constant companions. And with currents and sound in mind, we can drop into true midnight water, Now the last usable light fades and the midnight zone begins its slow, patient biology. Quietly choose a depth: sunlit, twilight, midnight abyss, or trench. Hold it gently and keep drifting. Now we enter the midnight zone where sunlight no longer reaches. It begins around 1,000 meters and stretches down toward about 4,000. Here, day and night at the surface do not matter much. The water stays dark, cold, and steady. In midnight water, energy becomes a strict budget. Food arrives less often. So many animals spend it carefully. You could think of life here as living on small allowances. The ocean still moves, but the rules shift toward patience. One common strategy is to swim slowly or barely at all. Why chase endlessly when meals are rare and costly? Many creatures drift, hover, or wait in place. They pause for long stretches, conserving fuel. Then, when a chance appears, they act quickly and return to stillness. If you like a soothing rhythm, it is this. Wait, drift, sip energy, wait again. In the midnight zone, speed is not always the best advantage. Surprise can matter more than endurance. Many hunters rely on ambush, not pursuit. A predator may remain almost motionless, tuned to tiny vibrations. Then, with a short burst, it closes the distance. Afterward, it may rest again for a long time. Some species have large mouths compared to their bodies. A large mouth increases the range of what counts as a meal. When food is unpredictable, being flexible is useful. Some animals also have expandable stomachs. If a rare big meal appears, they can store it, eat when you can, and then live on it. This is not greed. It is survival in a quiet economy. Now we add the steady presence of pressure. Pressure rises with depth in a reliable way. About 1 atmosphere every 10 meters, layered without pause. By the time you reach the midnight zone, the load is immense. Yet in the ocean, pressure is not a crushing squeeze from one side. It presses evenly from all directions. Life adapts by matching that pressure from within. Deep sea bodies tend to avoid air-filled spaces. Air compresses dramatically, and that is hard to manage. So many deep animals have fewer cavities and more fluid or gel-like tissues. Gelatinous tissues compress less and remain stable under load. Some fish have reduced swim bladders or none at all. Instead, they may use oils or soft tissues for buoyancy. Their bodies can be flexible, not rigid. Flexibility can be a kind of strength down here. Inside cells, pressure can push proteins out of their preferred shapes. But deep sea organisms have chemical tools that help stabilize proteins. One group of helpers is called osmolytes. A well-known osmolyte in some deep fish is TMAO, trimethylamine N-oxide. It can help proteins keep working under high pressure. It is like a molecular brace, holding delicate structures steady. Membranes also have to function in cold, pressured water. Cell membranes can become stiff in the cold. So many deep species adjust the fats in their membranes to stay flexible. You could picture it like choosing the right oil for a cold machine. Not too thick, not too thin, just right for slow, steady life. Deeper means denser pressure, but biology adapts. This is a calm truth of the deep ocean. The environment changes, and life changes with it. Now let us meet some midnight hunters, gently, without scary framing. Imagine them as specialized tools, built for rare opportunities. One example is the viperfish. It is known for long teeth that can look oversized. Those teeth help hold on to prey that might be the only meal for a while. Another is the fangtooth, famous for teeth that seem too large for its mouth. Yet the jaw and skull are shaped to fit them safely. The design looks extreme, but it is practical in a world of scarcity. A mouth that can secure a meal is a mouth that keeps you alive. There is also the gulper eel, sometimes called the pelican eel. It has a mouth that can open very wide, like a net. The mouth can take in prey and sometimes water too. It is an oversized opening for a rare catch. These are not fast monsters. They are patient specialists. In darkness, the rules favor ambush and efficient capture. Now, one of the most famous midnight tools is the anglerfish lure. Some anglerfish carry a glowing tip above the mouth. It is a living fishing pole held in front of a waiting jaw. The lure can twitch gently like a drifting morsel. Curiosity draws small prey closer. Then the light may vanish as the mouth closes. The whole event can be quick and quiet. A short flash of action, surrounded by long, calm time. Anglerfish lures can glow because of their own chemistry or through bacterial partners. Either way, the point is control. Signal, then silence. Midnight predators often do not waste motion. They do not need to chase across open water. They need to be ready for the moment that comes to them. Now, how do you sense anything in black water? In the midnight zone, vision is limited to whatever light exists. Some animals still have eyes, sometimes surprisingly large ones. Large eyes can gather more light, but light is scarce. Other animals rely more on smell and taste. Chemical trails can drift through the water like faint perfumes. A skilled nose can follow those trails patiently. Some fish have large nostril openings and sensitive receptors. They read the ocean as chemistry, not as pictures. Many creatures also sense vibration and pressure changes. Water carries information in its movement. A passing fin beat creates a tiny wave. A struggling animal sends a pattern of pulses outward. Sensitive bodies can detect that pattern even without seeing it. You can imagine it as feeling the room change when someone moves nearby. Some predators use bioluminescent searchlights sparingly. A brief glow can illuminate a small area, then stop. Because light can attract attention, it is used with care. A flash might be enough to locate prey, then the predator goes dark again. The midnight zone is full of these choices. See, smell, feel, then wait. Now we arrive at a quiet challenge in the deep. How do you find a mate in a vast, dark space? Population density can be low, with individuals spread far apart. So encounters may be rare and unpredictable. This shapes life histories. Many deep animals grow slowly and live longer than surface relatives. If meetings are rare, stretching time can improve your odds. Some species use chemical cues to help find each other. They may release signals that spread through the water. Not fast, but steady. Others use light signals, flashing a recognizable pattern. Again, not bright, just enough. In some anglerfish, mating becomes an extreme solution. In certain species, a small male may attach to a female and remain with her. Over time, the tissues confuse and the male becomes a long-term partner. This is sometimes called sexual parasitism, though it is more like a permanent connection. It ensures that when eggs are ready, a mate is present. It is a strange strategy, but it fits the deep's problem of distance. In a world of few meetings, certainty can matter more than romance. We can hold this idea gently, without judgment. The ocean tries many strategies and keeps the ones that work. So, midnight water is not only about hunters, it is also about patience, chemistry, and long chances. It is a place where life makes careful bets, small moves, long waits, brief signals, and then stillness again. Now, we will keep our pace slow as we turn to a question that keeps many people awake. How big can deep life get? We will explain it calmly, with evidence, and without scary images. From patient hunters, we move to the question of giants. Now we come to the idea of giants in the deep ocean. Deep-sea gigantism is a real pattern in some groups, but it is not a rule. The deep is not a single place with one set of outcomes. Many deep animals are tiny, delicate, and almost weightless. Still, in certain conditions, being larger can be useful. Let us explore the gentle reasons, without drama. First, cold water can slow metabolism. When metabolism slows, growth can be slower, but lifespans can stretch longer. A longer life means more time to grow. Not always bigger, but sometimes bigger. Cold water can also make movement more economical. If you move slowly, you burn less fuel. That fits the deep's strict energy budget. Another factor is food that arrives in patches. In the deep, a meal can be rare, then suddenly abundant. A larger body can store energy longer between meals. It can act like a battery that drains slowly. Size can also help with travel if you must move to find food. But again, this is not a simple rule. There are constraints too. Oxygen availability changes with depth and region. Temperature changes with currents and water masses. Some places are richer, others are leaner. So size depends on the local balance of cost and benefit. It is best to think of gigantism as an option life sometimes chooses, not a destiny. Now we can meet one of the most famous possible giants, the giant squid. Giant squid live far from easy observation. They spend much of their time in deep, dark water beyond casual cameras. Even when we send cameras down, the ocean is vast. A rare animal in a huge space is hard to capture on film, so sightings are often brief. Sometimes a squid is seen near the surface, tired, sick, or carried by unusual conditions. More often, we infer their presence from remains. A squid can leave evidence even when it stays hidden. One kind of evidence is the beak. A squid beak is hard like a parrot-like mouthpart, and it resists decay. When predators eat squid, the soft parts vanish, but beaks can remain. Scientists can estimate a squid's size from beak measurements. Another clue can come from scars. Sperm whales sometimes carry circular marks that match squid suction cups. Those marks suggest a struggle in deep water, unseen by humans. So we build knowledge from fragments, patiently. Now, there is also the colossal squid, a different species with a different body plan. Colossal squid are often discussed because of their heavy build and large eyes. They are known mostly from remains and occasional captures in fishing nets. Again, the story is incomplete because the deep is difficult to witness directly. When you hear size claims, it helps to remember uncertainty. We know these animals can be large. We also know that exact maximum sizes are hard to confirm. So we keep our language soft and careful. Large, impressive, and rare to see. Now let us do a calm anatomy tour of a squid, so it feels familiar. A squid has a mantle, the main body like a smooth sleeve. Along the mantle are fins, used for gentle steering and stability. At the front are arms, shorter and more numerous, used to hold prey. And there are usually two longer tentacles used to reach and grab. The tentacles can shoot outward, then pull prey back toward the arms. A squid moves by jet propulsion. It draws water into the mantle cavity, then pushes it out through a siphon. That can be fast when needed, but it can also be slow and controlled. In the deep, energy is precious, so movement may be measured. A squid can drift, then pulse, then drift again, like slow swimming made of breaths. Squid eyes are also remarkable. Large eyes can gather faint light and may help detect silhouettes or glowing signals. In the midnight zone, a faint bioluminescent flicker can be a clue. But a squid does not need constant light to navigate. It can read water movement, pressure changes, and chemical hints too. Now, we move from soft-bodied giants to a different kind of deep life, sharks. Some sharks spend time in deep water and live slow, steady lives. Deep water can favor slow growth and long lifespans. One of the most famous examples is the Greenland shark. Greenland sharks are known for slow movement and very long longevity estimates. They live in cold North Atlantic and Arctic waters, and they can mature late. A gentle reminder here is that giant can mean old as well as large. A long-lived animal can feel like a giant presence in time, even if not enormous in length. The Greenland shark can be large, but its story is also about patience and endurance. Scientists estimate age using methods like radiocarbon dating of islands material. Those methods carry uncertainties, but they suggest extreme longevity. So the Greenland shark becomes a symbol of slow life in cold water. Another deep-living shark is the blunt-nosed six-gill shark. Six-gill sharks have an ancient look, with features that connect them to old lineages. They are often found deeper than many familiar sharks. Deep sharks may have sensitive senses for low-light conditions. They may hunt slowly, using smell and vibration cues, and they often move like the ocean itself, steady and unhurried. Deep habitats can be stable in temperature and light. That stability can support life histories that stretch over many years. Slow growth, late maturity, and long lifespans can fit a stable environment. Now we arrive at a different kind of giant story. Not a giant animal living all the time, but a giant event that feeds many. A whale fall. A whale fall happens when a whale dies and sinks to the seafloor. It can be a slow descent through darkness, ending as a huge package of food. In the deep, a whale fall can feed an entire community for years. It begins with scavengers. Large scavengers may arrive first, taking soft tissue in the early stage. Then smaller animals join in, spreading out across the remains. As the easy food is consumed, the site changes. The surrounding sediment becomes enriched with organic matter. Worms, crustaceans, and other small creatures can thrive in that richer patch. Over time, even the bones become habitat. Bacteria can break down fats inside bones, and that process can support chemosynthetic life. Chemosynthetic means using chemical energy instead of sunlight. So a whale fall can become a deep-sea oasis, step by step. Scavengers, enrichment, and then longer-lasting communities that use chemistry. Finally, after years, what remains may be a quiet skeleton. The bones can still provide hard structure in a soft seafloor world. They can shelter small animals like a tiny reef in darkness. A whale fall is not common everywhere, but it is unforgettable when it occurs. It shows how a rare event can change the deep ocean locally for a long time. It also helps explain how stories grow. If a sailor saw huge marks on a whale or heard of strange remains, imagination might fill the gaps. If a whale washed ashore with tentacle scars, the mind might add a monster. If a large squid surfaced briefly, the story might expand with each retelling. And this is our gentle bridge. Kraken stories often begin with real squid behavior and real evidence. But the deep adds distance, darkness, and uncertainty. Uncertainty is a perfect place for myths to bloom. So we will keep our tone calm and evidence-based. No jump scares, just the quiet truth under the legends. Now we soften the stories and step into the Kraken gently. Now we come to a cozy myth, and we will keep it gentle. The Kraken is one of the ocean's most famous imagined creatures. It is a sea monster story, often described as a giant squid or octopus. But before we talk about animals, let us talk about the mind. The ocean is big, dark, and unpredictable. When humans face a wide unknown, the brain tries to fill in shapes. It completes patterns, especially when light is low and stress is high. That is not a flaw. It is a survival feature that helped our ancestors make quick decisions. On a rolling deck at night, your eyes and inner ear are already working hard. Distance is difficult to judge. Size is difficult to judge. A wave can hide part of an object, then reveal it again, like a trick. In that setting, a normal thing can feel enormous. A floating log can look like a creature. A tangle of seaweed can look like a reaching arm. And when you are tired, cold, or afraid, your brain may choose the most memorable option. This is one reason the ocean makes monsters in the mind. Myths can also be a kind of memory. A story can store warnings about real hazards. Storms, reefs, currents, and unknown animals are all worth respecting. So a frightening tale can help a community take the sea seriously. Over generations, the story becomes polished. Details become sharper. The creature becomes larger, and the warning becomes easier to repeat. Rare encounters can also turn into repeated legends. If one sailor sees something strange, it becomes a story. If the next sailor hears the story, they may recognize a shadow as the same thing. Expectation primes perception. You hear giant tentacles. Then you see something long and pale in a wave. Your mind connects the dots. Now let us shift to reality, because reality is already fascinating. What likely inspired Kraken tales is not a single animal. It is a collection of clues that point toward large cephalopods. Cephalopods include squid and octopus, animals with arms and tentacles. They are flexible, strong, and often hard to see until they move. One very strong clue is suction cups. Suction cups leave clear circular marks. Those marks can appear on fish, on nets, and on whales. A sailor who sees a ringed scar might imagine a gripping attack. It is easy to picture tentacles when you see those circles. Another clue is that squid sometimes appear at the surface, even if they live deep. A squid might surface when it is stressed or injured. A squid might be pushed upward by unusual currents. A squid might float after death, rising like a pale shadow in a stormy sea. A floating carcass can look like a sea monster because it does not look like a normal fish. Tentacles can trail behind, then vanish under a wave, then appear again. That motion can feel like intent, even if it is only water moving tissue. And storms can distort everything. Storms change scale. Waves raise and lower a boat, changing your viewpoint every few seconds. In one moment, the object seems close. In the next, it seems far. Your brain tries to stabilize the picture, but the world will not hold still. In that setting, even a large squid would look larger. Now consider indirect evidence that humans did not see but later learned about. Sperm whales hunt squid in deep water. We know this partly because of beaks found in whale stomachs. Beaks are durable, and they can remain when soft tissue is gone. So beaks become silent evidence of deep meals. We also see scars on sperm whales. Some whales have circular marks that match squid suction cups. Those marks suggest encounters and struggles in the dark. When a sailor sees a scarred whale, the mind may ask, "What did that?" The answer becomes a story. A story becomes a monster. But the calmer truth is that squid are not looking for humans. Most squid avoid large, unfamiliar objects. A ship is huge and noisy, and it does not resemble prey. Even a large squid is more likely to flee than to attack. The ocean does not need monsters to be powerful. It is powerful already. Now, what does modern exploration add to this picture? It adds patience and tools. We use deep cameras, submersibles, and remotely operated vehicles to watch the sea. Each new clip replaces a little guesswork with observation. Instead of a shadow, we see a shape. Instead of a rumor, we see behavior. But even now, we still have gaps. The deep ocean is enormous. Sampling it is difficult, expensive, and slow. An animal can live its whole life far from any camera. So uncertainty remains, and that is okay. We can hold uncertainty gently without turning it into fear. When footage does appear, it often shows calm, curious animals. A squid may hover, then pulse away. An octopus may explore a camera arm, then drift off. These are not villains. They are neighbors in a different environment. The more we observe, the less room there is for the mind to exaggerate. But the mind will always love a good story, so we can keep the myth as a bedtime tale and keep the science as a soft light. The myth says, beware the unknown. The reality says, learn the patterns. And both can coexist without conflict. If you are still awake, you might enjoy one small thought. A kraken is a name we gave to the feeling of the sea at night. Wide, dark, and larger than our imagination. Now we release that feeling. We let it float away like a drifting tentacle in a wave. With the myth gently settled, we descend to the abyssal plains. There, the landscape is subtle and slow. One slow breath in, one slow breath out, and we continue downward, steady and unhurried. We have slipped below the midnight zone now. The bottom opens into the abyssal plains. This is the wide seafloor between about 4,000 and 6,000 meters. It is one of the largest habitats on Earth. It can look empty at first glance, but it is not empty. It is simply subtle. The abyssal plain is cold, dark, and steady. Temperatures are often near freezing in many deep regions. Light is almost entirely absent, so the landscape becomes a study in texture. Imagine a plain of soft sediment. Not a hard desert, but a quiet blanket. Fine grains settle and settle again. Over time, the seafloor becomes smooth, then gently rippled. Even a plain has shape. There are low slopes you would not notice without instruments. There are shallow drifts where currents have nudged the sand. There are faint ridges and shallow troughs. They are small, but they are real. In some places, the plain stretches for thousands of kilometers. Vast floor under a vast ceiling of water. If you picture it, keep it simple. A wide, dim field, a slow fall of particles, and the smallest motions leaving the softest marks. Now, one of the most important stories here is food. Down here, almost everything is powered by what falls from above. That fall is often called marine snow. It is not snow made of ice. It is a slow rain of organic bits, tiny fragments of dead plankton, small clumps of cells and mucus, fecal pellets from animals feeding higher up, minute shells and dust-like crumbs of life. These bits stick together into larger flakes. They drift down through the water column for days or weeks. Sometimes they break apart on the way. Sometimes they merge into bigger, fluffier clumps. It is a long delivery route, quiet and constant. If you like a calming image, picture endless flakes, not fast, not swirling, just falling, flake after flake, into the dark. Marine snow is a connection. It links the bright surface to the deep floor. A storm at the surface can change what falls days later. A plankton bloom can increase the rain. A quiet season can reduce it. The deep listens to the surface through this slow drizzle. And on the seafloor, the drizzle is precious. Worms, crustaceans, and microbes treat each flake like a meal. Some animals filter it from the water just above the sediment. Others pick it up directly from the ground. Some microbes break it down into simpler chemicals. Then other microbes use those chemicals. Food becomes a chain of small handoffs. Nothing is wasted for long. Even so, the supply is thin. So many abyssal animals are built for patience. They move slowly. They feed slowly. They wait. Now, to keep your attention gentle, let us play a quiet game. Notice the details. A plain seems blank until you look for patterns. And in the abyss, patterns often appear as tracks. Life leaves signatures in soft sediment. Not loud footprints, but faint lines. A small animal moves and the grains shift. A feeding trail winds like a pale ribbon. A burrow opening makes a neat circle. A mound appears where something has pushed up from below. Over time, the seafloor becomes a notebook of slow behavior. Sometimes the motion is so slow it looks like stillness. Scientists use time-lapse cameras to reveal it. Hours pass. Then a sea cucumber has moved a body length. A brittle star has changed its posture. A small scavenger has visited a patch of sediment. Time-lapse turns the abyss into a calm choreography. Now imagine a chemical trail. A tiny patch of richer food releases a faint scent in the water. Currents spread that scent in a thin plume. A scavenger crosses it and pauses. It turns not in panic, but with simple logic. It follows the stronger direction of the trail. This is how many deep animals navigate meals, not by sight, but by taste and smell. Some creatures make shallow pits as they feed. They scoop sediment, sift it, and leave a depression. Others plow gently, taking in sediment and extracting the organic film. Sea cucumbers are famous for this style of feeding. They can look like careful gardeners on a dim lawn. They process the top layer of sediment slowly and steadily. Brittle stars can also form living carpets in some areas. They extend arms into the current like delicate nets. They capture passing particles and bring them inward. Everything is small, repeated, and calm. A track on the abyssal plain can last a long time. There is no wave action to erase it quickly. A mark may remain until a current shift or a new layer of particles covers it. So the seafloor becomes layered history. A thin fall of marine snow covers yesterday's trails, then today's trails right on top. Now we add another quiet feature, manganese nodules. These are hard lumps that rest on the sediment surface. They can be about the size of a potato, sometimes smaller, sometimes larger. They are not rocks in the usual sense of broken bedrock. They are chemical growths that build up over a very long time. Metals like manganese and iron can precipitate from seawater. They can also precipitate from poor water within the sediment. Layer by layer, a nodule grows, so slowly that a human lifetime barely registers. It can take millions of years to build a large nodule. That slowness is part of the abyss's character. Nothing here is hurried. Now, nodules matter for another reason. They create hard surfaces on a soft floor. Most of the abyssal plain is sediment, gentle and yielding, so a hard lump becomes a tiny island. Sponges may attach to it. Small corals may settle on it. Anemones may use it as a perch. Eggs may be laid on it for stability. A nodule is a home simply because it is different. Differences create niches, and niches create diversity. There is also a calm human note here. Some areas with nodules are still lightly studied. People debate whether nodules could be collected for metals. Scientists also study potential impacts on habitats and sediment life. For now, we can hold this as a simple fact. The deep is not only remote, it is also slow to recover from disturbance. So careful study matters. Now, let us widen the view again. The abyssal plain is called a plain, but it is not a perfect tabletop. Beyond it, the seafloor has valleys and hills. One dramatic feature is the submarine canyon. A submarine canyon is like a valley cut into the continental margin. Some are carved and reshaped by turbidity flows. A turbidity flow is a dense, sediment-rich current that moves downslope. It is like an underwater landslide made of water and grains. It can travel far and reshape the bottom. Over time, repeated flows can carve channels and steep walls. In the abyss, you may also find abyssal hills. These are low mountains, often linked to tectonic processes. They rise gently from the plain, not like sharp peaks, but like slow swells. There are also fracture zones. These are long scars in the seafloor where plates have shifted. They can form ridges and troughs that stretch for great distances. And there are sediment waves, not waves that break, but ripples scaled up over time. Currents can shape the sediment into long, rolling patterns. Again, the change is subtle, but the pattern can be beautiful. So the abyssal landscape is a quiet mosaic. Plains of fine mud, drifts and ripples, tracks and pits, islands of nodules, low hills and long valleys, all under near total darkness, all under steady pressure, and all connected to the surface by that slow rain of particles. If you need a simple set of anchors, try this. Snow, tracks, nodules, snow falling, tracks written, nodules waiting. Now, we are about to leave the cold plain. Because the seafloor has rare places that are not cold at all. Places where the Earth's inner heat meets seawater. Warmth and chemistry in the dark. We will go there next. From the cold plane, we step into rare places where the Earth's inner heat meets seawater. From the cold abyssal plane, we step into rare warm pockets on the seafloor. These places are oases, not because of sunlight, but because of chemistry. The deep ocean is mostly cold and dark, so when the Earth offers heat and minerals, life gathers quietly around it. One kind of oasis is a hydrothermal vent. A vent begins with seawater seeping into cracks in the ocean crust. The water travels downward through rock, like rain soaking into a deep sponge. As it goes, it warms. It also reacts with the minerals in the crust. Then it returns upward, pushed by heat and pressure, carrying dissolved chemicals. When that hot fluid meets cold seawater, minerals can precipitate out. They build chimneys, rising from the seafloor like stone candles. A chimney can grow as the vent continues to flow. It can also break, topple, and rebuild. So the vent field changes over time, even though it looks like rock. Some vents are called black smokers. They release very hot fluid rich in metal sulfides that darken the plume. Other vents are called white smokers. Their fluids are often cooler and can carry lighter colored minerals. Both are part of the same story. Seawater, rock, heat, return. Even the word smoker is a little dramatic. In reality, the plume is a soft billow of mineral-rich water. It rises and mixes, and then it becomes part of the ocean again. The contrast is what makes vents memorable. Cold, still plains nearby. Warm, active fountains in a small area. Warmth and chemistry, inside darkness. And then we take one more step, because heat is only half of the miracle. The other half is food. In most of the ocean, food begins with sunlight and photosynthesis. At vents, food can begin without sunlight at all. This is called chemosynthesis. Chemosynthesis means making organic matter using chemical energy. Instead of capturing light, microbes capture energy from reactions. A common fuel near vents is hydrogen sulfide. Some microbes oxidize hydrogen sulfide and use that energy to build sugars. Other microbes can use methane as an energy source in certain settings. These microbes are the base of the vent food web. They are like the vent's equivalent of plants. But they are microscopic, living in mats, films, and inside other animals. Some of the most iconic vent animals are tube worms. Certain giant tube worms have no mouth and no digestive tract. Instead, they host symbiotic bacteria inside their bodies. The bacteria do the chemistry. The worm provides housing, oxygen, and access to vent chemicals. Together, they form a working partnership. The worm is well fed without eating in the usual way. It is a quiet example of cooperation in a harsh place. Other vent animals also rely on microbial partners. Some clams and mussels host chemosynthetic microbes in their tissues. They live where chemicals are available, like living filters placed at the boundary. You can imagine the vent world as a gradient. Closest to the vent, chemicals and heat are strongest. Farther away, the water becomes more like the normal cold ocean. Animals position themselves along that gradient. Now we look at who lives where because vent communities are arranged like neighborhoods. Right at the hottest spots, only certain microbes can tolerate the conditions. A few centimeters away, conditions can be safer for larger animals. This is one of the calm surprises of vents. A few centimeters can change survivability. The seafloor becomes a map of temperature and chemistry. Some shrimp gather near warm flows, waving and grazing on microbial films. Crabs may patrol nearby, picking up bits of food and small animals. Snails may cluster where the chemistry is just right for their symbionts. Farther out, you might see grazers and scavengers living on the edges. Even farther, the community fades into the usual abyssal plain life, so a vent field can be dense with life. but only in a small footprint. Beyond it, darkness and sparsity return. How do new vents get colonized? Vents can shut down and new ones can open elsewhere along ridges. So many vent species have larvae that drift in currents. The young are carried like tiny seeds. They float until they encounter a new vent field with the right conditions. This makes vent life both fragile and resilient. Fragile because the oasis is small. Resilient because larvae can travel and restart communities. It is another rhythm of the deep ocean. Birth on the current, settlement on the chemistry, growth near the warmth. Now, vents are not the only chemical oases. There are also cold seeps. A cold seep is a place where chemicals leak out of the seafloor without high heat. Often the fluids are closer to ambient deep sea temperatures, but they can be rich in methane or hydrogen sulfide, so they can still support chemosynthetic life. At cold seeps, you may find microbial mats spread across sediment. The mats can look like pale carpets. They are communities of microbes feeding on seep chemicals. Over time, seep chemistry can build structures too. Some seeps form carbonate deposits and even chimneys made of carbonate rock. These chimneys are often built slowly, not rapidly like some vent chimneys. They can become long-lasting hard surfaces. Again, hard surface on a soft seafloor becomes habitat. Clams and mussels may cluster here as well. Tube worms can also occur at seeps, though species differ by location. The main theme stays the same. Chemistry replaces sunlight. Now we come to one of the strangest seafloor sites, brine pools. A brine pool is a dense, salty body of water sitting on the seafloor. It can look like a lake within the ocean. Because it is so salty, it is heavier than normal seawater, so it does not mix easily. The boundary can be sharp, like a shimmering shoreline. Some brine pools can be harsh or even toxic to many animals, but life often gathers at the edges. The edge is a gradient where chemistry changes quickly. Microbes can thrive there, and animals can harvest what microbes produce. You might see creatures perched at the boundary, using it like a feeding line. The brine itself can appear still, with ripples that move slowly. It is an eerie calm, like glass underwater, but we will keep the feeling gentle. It is simply a reminder that the ocean can hold layers within layers, a lake inside a sea, formed by density. Now, how do humans study these places without disturbing them too much? It starts with light. Many deep animals are adapted to darkness. Bright lights can be stressful, and sudden glare can change behavior. So scientists try to use careful lighting and quiet approaches. Remotely operated vehicles, often called ROVs, are common tools. They are tethered robots with cameras and instruments. They can hover, move slowly, and take samples precisely. Some use suction samplers to collect small organisms gently. Others use mechanical arms to pick up rocks or tubes. Temperature probes can measure how quickly heat changes across centimeters. Chemistry sensors can measure dissolved gases and minerals in the water. Some instruments are placed for long-term observation. They sit near vents and seeps, listening and measuring for months or years. This helps researchers see changes over time, not just a snapshot. It also reduces the need for repeated disturbance. Even so, studying vents and seeps is a balancing act. We want knowledge, but we also want care. The deep is remote, but it is not disposable. So modern exploration leans toward minimal contact and good documentation. Now, we prepare for our next descent step. Vents and seeps are oases shaped by heat and chemistry. But trenches are shaped by pressure. Pressure becomes the main storyteller there. And in trenches, the oases look different again. So we will carry this idea forward. Warm pockets in cold darkness. Life built on chemistry. A neighborhood arranged by gradients. And then, deeper still, the trench. Now we leave the warm pockets and sink into trenches, where pressure becomes the main storyteller. Now we sink into the Hadal trenches. These are the deepest long valleys of the ocean, deeper than about 6,000 meters. Before we go further, a calm reminder. Depth is distance. not danger in your room. You are safe, warm, and still, while we imagine a remote place far away. A trench is a shape made by moving Earth. It forms where one oceanic plate bends and slides beneath another plate. This process is called subduction. As the plate bends downward, it creates a long, narrow valley in the seafloor. That valley can run for hundreds or thousands of kilometers. Trenches are some of Earth's deepest topography. They are not holes in the sense of a pit you fall into. They are valleys with walls and slopes like a mountain range turned upside down. Some well-known trenches include the Mariana Trench in the Western Pacific. There is also the Tonga Trench and the Kermadec Trench farther south. Near Japan, the Japan Trench is another deep subduction feature. Each trench has its own geography and water conditions. So the Hadal Zone is not one uniform habitat. It is a family of deep valleys scattered around the world. If you like a gentle image, imagine a folded ribbon in the seafloor. The ribbon becomes a valley, and that valley becomes a pathway for sediments, water, and life. Now, the Hadal Zone is famous for one thing above all: pressure. Pressure continues its steady climb, deeper and deeper. We can return to our simple rule: about 1 atmosphere of additional pressure for every 10 meters downward. That rule remains steady as we enter trench depths. So by several thousand meters, the numbers are already enormous. By trench depths, the load is difficult to imagine. But in the ocean, pressure is not a sudden crush. It is a steady, even embrace from all sides. Life adapts by matching the outside pressure with internal pressure. The main challenge is what pressure does to molecules. Proteins can change shape under high pressure. Membranes can behave differently. So trench organisms adjust their chemistry and structures. One common theme is stabilization. Cells use compounds called osmolytes that help proteins remain functional. We mentioned an example earlier: TMAO in some deep fish. Different animals use different mixtures and strategies. But the goal is similar: keep the machinery of life working in a high-pressure world. Membranes are tuned as well. In cold, deep water, membranes can stiffen. Under pressure, that stiffness can change how cells function. So many deep organisms adjust the fats in their membranes. They keep them flexible enough to do their job. It is like keeping a door hinge smooth in cold weather. Another design principle is reducing crushable spaces. Gas-filled cavities are difficult to maintain at depth. Gas compresses strongly under pressure. So Hadal animals often have fewer gas spaces and more fluid tissues. Soft tissues and gelatinous structures compress more gently. They can be stable without air pockets. If you imagine life here, imagine it as streamlined and flexible, built for pressure, not for buoyant air. Now, what kinds of animals live in trenches? The calm truth is that many are small. The Hadal Zone is not packed with giant creatures. It is home to steady survivors that can tolerate extreme conditions. And the unseen majority of life here is microbial. Microbes are everywhere in sediment, on rocks, and on organic debris. They are tiny, but they drive much of the chemical work. They break down material and recycle nutrients. They form the base of many trench food pathways. Among larger animals, amphipods are common trench residents in many places. Amphipods are small crustaceans, often described as shrimp-like. They are efficient scavengers. When a meal arrives, amphipods can gather quickly, like a quiet cleanup crew. They can feed on carrion and on detritus in the sediment. Their bodies are suited to pressure, and their life strategies fit scarcity. You may also find worms processing sediment. Some worms live in burrows and feed on organic particles. Sea cucumbers can also appear, grazing and processing the seafloor. They may move slowly, leaving soft trails like careful gardeners. In some trenches, certain snailfish have been recorded as common fish. Snailfish are soft-bodied fish adapted to cold and pressure. Their bodies can look delicate, but they are built for the environment. Different trenches host different communities, so we keep it flexible. Some trenches have more fish activity than others. Some have more scavengers. Some have different dominant microbes depending on chemistry and food input. The deep ocean is diverse, even in its deepest valleys. Now let us talk about how food reaches the Hadal zone. Scarcity still rules. Meals are not constant. They arrive as slow drifts and rare events. Marine snow continues to fall here, but much of it is consumed on the way down. So the trickle can be thin. Trenches can also receive larger pieces of organic matter. Carry-on falls like dead fish can sink into the valley. Driftwood can reach great depths, carried and waterlogged over time. In some cases, plant matter and debris can be funneled into trenches. A trench can act like a long gutter collecting particles that slide downslope. Sediment can move downward in pulses, carrying organic material with it. When a larger piece arrives, it becomes a temporary feast. Scavengers gather. Microbes begin breaking it down. As microbes work, the large piece becomes a slow source of nutrition. Even after the visible food is gone, the site can remain enriched for a while. So trenches have both thin drizzle and rare banquets. Both are important. Both shape the pace of life. Wait, then feed, then wait again. Now, there is another calm detail. Trenches can help scientists study how particles move through the ocean. Because trenches collect debris, they can reveal what is drifting and sinking over time. Researchers use samples to understand the flow of organic matter. They also use them to understand human traces that reach even remote depths. This is a delicate topic, so we will keep it factual and quiet. Microplastics have been detected in some deep sea samples, including trench regions. This is not a story to frighten you. It is a measurement like finding a tiny marker in a very large system. Scientists use these findings to understand pathways and accumulation. It reminds us that the ocean connects faraway places. And it underscores the importance of baseline data. Baseline data means knowing what is present now, before conditions change. Mapping and sampling create that baseline. They help us understand ecosystems and track long-term trends. Now we prepare to shift toward the tools that let us learn about trenches at all. Because without technology, Hadal depths were once pure imagination. Today we use careful machines and patient methods to visit them. We go slowly. We listen. We measure. We avoid disturbing what we can. And we bring back small pieces of information, like postcards from the farthest valleys. To understand the deep, we rely on careful machines, quiet listening, slow lights, and patient mapping. If you're still awake, you're doing fine. Nothing to fix. Let the next section carry you, quietly, the way water carries sound. Now, we meet the explorers. Not people in diving suits, but careful machines that can see in darkness. The deep ocean is difficult to visit directly, so we rely on sound, light, and patient engineering. Let us start with one of the most important tools, sonar. Sonar uses sound pulses to measure distance. A pulse travels out, reflects off something, and returns as an echo. Time becomes a ruler. If you know how fast sound moves in water, you can estimate how far the echo traveled. This is how we map what we cannot see. You can think of sonar as touch at a distance, not fingertips, but soft waves that feel shapes from far away. One common mapping method is multi-beam sonar. Multi-beam means many beams at once. A ship or survey platform sends a fan of sound downward. Each beam returns an echo from a different spot. Together, the beams paint a strip of seafloor. As the ship moves forward, strip after strip builds a map, slow and steady like sweeping a flashlight but with sound. Another method is side-scan sonar. Side-scan sends sound sideways, not just down. It is useful for texture and outlines. A smooth sandy bottom reflects differently than a rocky slope. A shipwreck casts a shadow in sonar images. A cable can appear as a thin line if conditions are right. Side scan can help locate wrecks, identify debris fields, and plan cable routes. Now, sonar has trade-offs. Resolution depends on distance and frequency. Higher frequency sound can reveal smaller details, but it does not travel as far. Lower frequency travels farther, but shows less fine detail. So survey teams choose settings based on the goal: wide coverage or close detail, sometimes both in stages. First a broad map, then a closer look. This is part of why much of the seafloor is still unmeasured at high detail. We have global maps, but close-up clarity is harder and slower to gather. Now we move from sound to robots. Two robot types are common in deep ocean work: ROVs and AUVs. An ROV is a remotely operated vehicle. It is usually tethered to a ship by a cable. That tether supplies power and allows live control. It also sends video and data back in real time. An ROV can hover, move slowly, and hold position precisely. It can be a careful visitor, like a patient camera on a leash. An AUV is an autonomous underwater vehicle. It is untethered. It carries its own power, often batteries, and follows a planned route. AUVs are often used for mapping surveys. They can fly over the seafloor in steady lines. They gather sonar data, photographs, and chemical measurements. Then they return to the surface, and the data is downloaded. You can imagine the difference like this. An ROV is a live guided tour. An AUV is a quiet mail carrier doing a route and coming back with a package of maps. Both are valuable, and they are often used together. AUV first to make a map, ROV next to inspect a specific site. Now, because deep animals are adapted to darkness, lighting matters. Bright lights can startle or change behavior. So many teams use gentle lighting strategies. They may use dimmer beams or red light in some cases, or brief illumination. They may keep lights off until a camera is ready. The goal is observation without disruption, as much as possible. ROVs can also carry sampling tools. Suction samplers can collect small animals gently, like underwater vacuum jars. Cores can take a small plug of sediment, preserving layers for study. Water bottles can collect water at a specific depth, sealed for later analysis. Arms can pick up rocks or nodules carefully. Temperature probes can measure gradients near vents and seeps. Each tool is designed for small, controlled contact. Now we come to deep submersibles, the vehicles that carry people. These are rare and carefully engineered. The key feature is a pressure sphere. A pressure sphere is a strong, rounded shell that resists collapse. Rounded shapes distribute stress evenly. Inside the sphere is a quiet room of normal air pressure. A safe bubble, while the outside pressure is enormous. Materials like titanium or high-strength steel are often used for these spheres. The design is not flashy. It is simple, conservative, and focused on safety. Dives are slow for a reason. Time is part of safety. You descend gradually. You monitor systems. You manage buoyancy carefully. You avoid rushing in a place where small mistakes can become big ones. To float at depth, submersibles need buoyancy that does not compress easily. One solution is syntactic foam. Syntactic foam is a material filled with tiny hollow spheres. It is buoyant, but strong enough to withstand pressure. It acts like a deep-sea life jacket. Submersibles also use ballast, weight that can be dropped if needed. Drop weight, rise slowly. It is a calm emergency plan built into the design. Observation also involves trade-offs. To see, you need cameras or viewports, and you need light. But light can change animal behavior. Teams choose how much light to use and when. Sometimes the best view comes from low light and patience. Let your eyes and sensors adjust, like Twilight animals do. Now, not all human traces in the deep are vehicles. Some are structures left behind, quietly. One of the largest is the submarine cable network. Much of the world's internet traffic travels through fiber optic cables laid on the seafloor. These cables cross oceans in long arcs. They are mostly unseen, but they are essential. A cable is not one continuous perfect line. Over very long distances, signal strength needs help. So repeaters are placed along the cable at intervals. A repeater boosts or regenerates the signal. It is a steady engineering rhythm. Cable, repeater, cable, repeater. Quiet machines lying on the ocean floor. Cable routes are chosen with care. They often avoid rough terrain when possible. Steep slopes, active faults, and deep trenches can pose risks. So many cables follow gentler paths across plains and stable areas. Near coasts, cables may be buried for protection from anchors and fishing gear. In deep water, they often rest on the seafloor surface. They are small compared to the vastness around them. A thin line across a continent-sized plain. Yet, that thin line carries voices, videos, and messages between continents. It is a strange thought and a calm one. Human connection traveling through dark water, unseen. Now, we return to shipwrecks, but deeper than the shallow wrecks we mentioned earlier. In deep water, wrecks become a kind of slow archaeology. They sit where they fell, often undisturbed by waves. The deep can preserve some structures longer, because conditions can be colder and sometimes lower in oxygen. But preservation depends on local chemistry, currents, and microbes. Time still works. Salt still works. Microbes still work. On iron and steel wrecks, you may find rusticles. Rusticles are rust formations shaped by microbial activity and corrosion. They can look like delicate icicles made of iron oxides. They grow slowly, and they crumble slowly. They are a visible sign of tiny life interacting with metal. In the deep, a wreck can also become habitat. It provides hard surface where the seafloor may be soft. Sponges and corals can attach to the frame. Anemones can settle like small flags. Fish can shelter in openings. A wreck becomes an artificial reef, but in a quiet, low-energy place. Because the deep is so still, debris fields can be mapped like footprints of an impact. Scattered objects can show how the ship broke apart. Currents can rearrange lighter items over time. But overall, deep wrecks are often time capsules, studied carefully and slowly. Researchers may photograph them, map them with sonar, and leave them mostly as they are. Sometimes they collect a small sample for analysis, but the main goal is often documentation. Let the wreck tell its story without moving it. Now, one more open loop to hold gently. Even with sonar and robots, much of the seafloor is still not mapped in high resolution. The ocean is large, and detailed mapping takes time and resources. So exploration continues, strip by strip, dive by dive. Each mission adds another quiet piece of knowledge. And each piece helps separate stories from physics. Because when you can see and measure, you can compare myth to reality. So with the tools in mind, we can settle one more myth segment calmly. Then we will enter a repeating drift loop that carries you through the depths again. With the tools in mind, we can separate stories from physics in the last myth segment. Now we settle a few ocean legends gently and calmly. We will keep this simple. Nature is complex without being mystical, and the sea can look strange without any magic at all. Let us begin with the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is a label people give to a region of the Western Atlantic. Stories claim unusual disappearances there. But when you step back, the region is also a busy corridor. It has heavy ship traffic and frequent flights. More traffic means more incidents, even if the risk is ordinary. The ocean there is also shaped by strong currents. A current can drift floating objects away from a search area. It can do it quietly, while everyone is looking in the wrong place. So a search can miss clues, not because they vanished, but because they moved. Wind can add another push, changing the direction and speed of drift. This is one reason missing can become mysterious when data is sparse. Now add weather. The subtropics can produce fast-changing storms and squalls. A squall can arrive quickly, with sharp wind shifts and rough seas. For a small boat or a tired crew, that change can be dangerous. And for aircraft, storms and turbulence can create difficult decisions. Human factors matter too. Fatigue matters. Stress matters. Poor visibility matters. And small decision errors can stack up. Navigation is a chain of choices, and sometimes the chain breaks. In older eras, instrument limits played a larger role. Even now, instruments can fail or give confusing readings in certain conditions. When things go wrong far from help, the outcome can feel sudden. Then the story grows afterward, because we want a clear reason. And the sea does not always give clear reasons. Now we turn to ghost ships. A ghost ship, in storytelling, is a vessel found drifting with no crew. That image is naturally eerie, but the practical causes are often simple. Mechanical failure can disable a ship's power or steering. A fire can force an evacuation. A storm can damage equipment and make a ship unmanageable. In some cases, a crew might abandon ship temporarily and not return safely. In other cases, a tow line breaks and a vessel drifts away. None of these are supernatural. They are ordinary failures happening in a large moving environment. And once a ship is drifting, wind and current can carry it far. A ship can travel miles and miles over days and weeks. It can cross paths with different shipping lanes. It can end up far from where it started. So when it is found later, it looks like a mystery. But it may have simply followed the invisible weather of the ocean. Currents act like slow rivers. Winds act like steady hands pushing from above. Together, they move objects across the sea. Now, why do these myths persist, even today? One reason is that the ocean is difficult to observe continuously. We do not have cameras everywhere. We do not have perfect tracking for every small vessel. And when data is missing, imagination fills gaps. Another reason is that stories travel well. A story compresses complex reality into a memorable shape. A triangle, a curse, a ghost ship. These shapes are easy to repeat and easy to remember. Science, by contrast, often sounds like a list. Weather, currents, human factors, mechanical failure. But that list is closer to the truth. And the truth can still be interesting because it describes real systems at work. Also, even with modern mapping, there are gaps. Mapping improves steadily year by year. But high detail understanding of the ocean is still incomplete. The sea is large, and monitoring it takes time and effort. So uncertainty remains in some cases. And uncertainty is a perfect place for legends to stay alive. Still, we can keep the tone calm. We can hold myths as bedtime stories, and we can hold reality as quiet physics. Water moves, wind shifts, storms form and fade. People make decisions under pressure. Machines sometimes fail, and currents carry the evidence away. That is enough to explain most mysteries without adding anything extra. Now we are about to shift into the most sleep-friendly part of our journey. A long, repeating descent designed to let your mind loosen its grip. No more solving mysteries. No more questions that need answers. Just layers, patterns, and gentle repetition. Now we slow everything down and repeat the descent in a loop so your mind can let go. We will now drift in a slow loop from the surface to the deepest trenches. You do not need to remember anything. Let each fact float by and keep your attention soft. We begin at 0 meters where the sea meets the air. A dark surface glimmers and the water rocks in gentle motion. At 50 meters, the world is still familiar, but quieter. At 100 meters, light becomes a soft blue veil. At 200 meters, the sunlit zone ends and twilight begins. 0, 50, 100, 200 meters. And we drift a little deeper. Near the surface, tiny plankton can flash when the water stirs. The flashes are brief punctuation, then darkness returns. A boat wake can draw faint lines, then the lines dissolve. Under the surface, kelp shadows sway like slow curtains. Holdfasts grip the rock, and fronds reach upward without hurry. Along quiet reef edges, small creatures settle into night routines. Some hide, some graze, and most conserve energy. Water carries sound and motion, even when the scene is still. If a detail feels too sharp, let it fade on its own. We pass 50 meters again, steady and calm. We pass 100 meters again, softer and dimmer. We pass 200 meters again, crossing into permanent dusk. 0, 50, 100, 200 meters, and we drift a little deeper. From 200 meters to 1,000, the Twilight Zone holds a gentle blue dimness. Red fades first, and blue travels farther, so the water keeps a cool tone. Particles scatter the remaining light into a soft haze. Shapes lose their edges, and shadows become suggestions. Many eyes here are tuned for low light. Some look upward for silhouettes against the faint glow above. Others rely more on scent, reading the water as chemistry. Small lights blink in patterns, like slow code in the dark. A flash, a pause, and then another flash. Some animals glow on their bellies to match the faint light overhead. This is counter-illumination, a quiet way to erase a shadow. Silver sides can mirror the water and borrow its color. Some bodies are transparent, hiding by having less to see. Now picture the ocean like an elevator that moves once each day. Up at night to feed near the surface, down by day to hide in deeper dimness. That daily movement repeats every 24 hours. It can appear on sonar as a moving band in the water. Countless small lives rising together, then sinking together. 200 meters, then deeper. 400 meters, then deeper. 600 meters, then deeper. 800 meters, then deeper. 1,000 meters arrives like a quiet threshold. 200 to 1,000, and we drift a little deeper. From 1,000 to 4,000 meters, we enter midnight water. There is no sunlight here, only occasional living glow. Food is scarce, so many bodies spend energy carefully. Movement becomes slow, efficient, and patient. Wait, drift, and wait again. Some hunters use ambush rather than long chases. A small lure may glow softly, then go dark. A wide mouth can open when opportunity appears, then close for a long rest. Teeth can look large, but they are simply tools for rare meals. Many animals are built to swallow what they can, whenever they can. Pressure rises steadily as we descend. About 1 atmosphere every 10 meters, even down here. It is a calm number to return to like a metronome. Deeper means more pressure, and life adapts with flexible design. Soft tissues compress gently, without air spaces. Cells use stabilizing chemistry to keep proteins working. Membranes stay usable in cold water by tuning their fats. Everything is built for stability and patience. Now we repeat a simple cadence. Breathe, drift, listen. Breathe in, drift down, listen to the quiet. Breathe out, drift down, and let the darkness stay soft. 1,000 meters becomes 1,500. 1,500 becomes 2,000. 2,000 becomes 2,500. 2,500 becomes 3,000. 3,000 becomes 3,500. 3,500 becomes 4,000. 1,000 to 4,000. Breathe, drift, listen, and we drift a little deeper. From 4,000 to 6,000 meters, the abyssal plains open wide. The horizon becomes flat, with subtle hills that rise like slow swells. The seafloor becomes a soft landscape. Fine sediment rests like a quiet blanket. Marine snow falls steadily from above. Tiny flakes of organic matter drift down, slow and constant. Flake after flake into the dark. Each flake is a small meal for worms, crustaceans, and microbes. Surface life connects to the deep through this gentle rain. On the plain, life leaves signatures in the sediment. A thin trail curves like handwriting in dust. A shallow pit shows where something sifted the top layer. A burrow opening makes a neat circle, then fades under new settling grains. Sea cucumbers move like careful gardeners, processing the surface slowly. Brittle stars spread arms into the current like delicate nets. Time-lapse reveals motion that is too slow to notice in real time. An hour passes and a trail grows by a body length. A day passes and the plane looks subtly rewritten. Hard nodules can sit on the surface like small islands. They offer attachment points for sponges and tiny corals. Most of the plane remains smooth, quiet, and patient. 4,000 meters, then deeper. 5,000 meters, then deeper. 6,000 meters arrives, cold and steady. 4,000 to 6,000, the seafloor becomes a soft landscape, and we drift a little deeper. Before we go farther, we pass a brief oasis on the seafloor. A hydrothermal vent releases mineral-rich water from the crust. Chimneys can grow like stone candles, then break and rebuild. Some plumes are darker, some are paler, depending on minerals and temperature. The contrast is gentle. Warm chemistry in a cold world. Here, food can begin without sunlight. Microbes use chemical energy to build living matter. This is chemosynthesis, the deep ocean's alternative to photosynthesis. Tube worms can host bacteria inside their bodies and grow well-fed without a mouth. Clams and mussels can also carry microbial partners in their tissues. Life arranges itself along gradients. Close to the flow, heat and chemicals are stronger. A few centimeters away, conditions soften and different animals gather. Cold seeps also leak methane or sulfide without high heat. Microbial gnats can spread like pale carpets across the sediment. Some seeps build carbonate mounds slowly over long time. Brine pools can sit like dense lakes on the seafloor, with a shimmering edge. Many animals prefer the boundary, where chemistry changes gently. We observe with quiet lights and slow movements. Then we return to dark water, unhurried. Warm pocket, then cold plain. Signal, then silence. And we drift a little deeper. From 6,000 meters down toward 11,000, we enter the trenches, and the world grows quieter. The seafloor drops into a long, narrow valley shaped by moving plates. Sediment slides and settles along the trench walls. Organic debris can funnel downward like a slow stream. A leaf, a branch, a small carcass, all drifting into the valley over time. Scarcity still rules, even here. There can be long waits between larger meals, so scavengers stay ready, but conserve energy. Amphipods often arrive quickly when food appears. They are small crustaceans, efficient and steady. Worms and sea cucumbers continue the slow work of processing sediment. In some trenches, soft-bodied snailfish glide close to the bottom. They move without hurry, built for cold and pressure. Pressure continues its steady rise, layer by layer. It is the same calm rule extended deeper. About 1 atmosphere for every 10 meters, repeating without pause. Cells respond with stabilizing chemistry and flexible structures. Less airspace, more fluid tissue, and careful molecular tuning. 6,000 meters becomes 7,000, and the world grows quieter. 7,000 becomes 8,000. 8,000 becomes 9,000. 9,000 becomes 10,000. 10,000 becomes 11,000, near the deepest valleys. 6,000 to 11,000, and the world grows quieter. Notice how the mind can rest on repetition, pressure, patience, and slow drifting particles. A valley that collects what the ocean drops. A community that survives on thin rain and rare gifts. Amphipods, microbes, and quiet fish near the bottom. Then, gently, we begin to float back upward in imagination. Not quickly, just enough to keep the loop breathing. And we drift a little deeper. Now let sound and currents become background comfort. The ocean is always moving, softly. Currents slide like slow rivers in the dark, Layers of water can drift past each other without mixing quickly. Internal waves roll along those layers, wide and gentle. Sound travels well underwater, carried by dense water. Low notes can go far, while higher notes fade sooner. In some places, sound finds a corridor called the SOFAR channel. It is a natural hallway where sound bends and stays contained. A distant call can travel across basins, quietly. Hydrophones listen for storms, quakes, and ice far away. Even when you hear nothing, the ocean still carries information. Follow one long note in your mind. Let it drift through layers. Let it bend, then return. Now make the words smaller. Breath in, drift down. Breath out, drift down. Listen, just listen. And we drift a little deeper. Now we gather the ladder of depths again, like a familiar staircase. 200 meters, the end of bright water. 1,000 meters, the start of full midnight. 4,000 meters, the quiet midwater deepening into the abyss. 6,000 meters, the beginning of trenches. 11,000, the farthest valley floors. 200, 1,000, 4,000, 6,000, 11,000. Let the numbers be smooth stones you can hold lightly. If you forget them, that is fine too. Now we begin the loop again from the surface, slower than before. 0 meters, a faint surface shimmer in the dark. 10 meters, then 20, then 30, all soft and close. 50 meters, where the last bright glints still reach sometimes. A small school passes like a quiet shadow, then dissolves. 100 meters, where the blue becomes more uniform. 150 meters, where the water feels thicker and calmer. 200 meters, where twilight begins again. 0, 50, 100, 200 meters, and we drift a little deeper. Twilight feels like a hallway with dim lights far above. A flash appears, then a pause that lasts longer than the flash. Another flash, then stillness again. Some bellies glow softly, matching the faint ceiling light. Some bodies turn silver, reflecting whatever color the water offers. 200 becomes 300, then 400. 400 becomes 500, then 600. The elevator of life moves upward at night, downward by day. Up at night, down by day, steady as breathing. 700 meters, then 800. 900 meters, then 1,000. 200 to 1,000. And we drift a little deeper. Midnight water receives us again with calm black-blue space. Here, a lure can be a single point of light, then nothing. Here, a mouth can open wide, then rest for a long time. Here, bodies save energy with long pauses. Wait, drift, wait, and act only when needed. Pressure keeps rising, steady and even. Deeper means more pressure, but life stays flexible. Breathe, drift, listen. Breathe, drift, listen. 1,000 becomes 1,500, then 2,000. 2,000 becomes 2,500, then 3,000. 3,000 becomes 3,500, then 4,000. 1,000 to 4,000. And we drift a little deeper. Abyssal plains open again like a dark, wide field. The seafloor becomes a soft landscape. Marine snow falls like quiet dust that never stops. A flake lands, and a tiny mouthful is taken somewhere nearby. A trail curves, a pit forms, a burrow mouth opens and closes. Life writes slowly on sediment, then the page is covered by new grains. 4,000 becomes 5,000. 5,000 becomes 6,000. 4,000 to 6,000. The seafloor becomes a soft landscape. And we drift a little deeper. A warm pocket appears briefly, like a small hearth in the cold. Chemistry feeds microbes, and microbes feed larger neighbors. Tube worms stand like pale candles, still and steady. Mussels cluster where the flow is gentle enough. Then the warmth fades behind us, and cold returns. And we drift a little deeper. Trenches begin again, and the world grows quieter. A valley collects fine debris, like a slow gutter under a dark roof. Amphipods gather, then disperse, leaving clean edges in the sediment. A snailfish glides close to the bottom, almost weightless in its motion. 6,000 becomes 7,000. Then 8,000. 8,000 becomes 9,000. Then 10,000. 10,000 becomes 11,000, as quiet as a held breath. 6,000 to 11,000. And the world grows quieter. Now we let sound and currents wrap around the scene like a blanket. A long note travels, bends, and returns to a corridor. Currents slide beneath it, and layers sway gently. Breath in, breath out. Drift. Listen. Now let the narration become background. Let it be a distant light behind your thoughts. One last calm image for this loop. A single blue glow far away, then a slow fade to darkness. And once more, very softly, we trace the ladder in reverse. 11,000 meters, still and deep. 10,000, then 9,000, then 8,000. Pressure eases by tiny steps, but the water stays calm. 7,000, then 6,000, leaving the trench floor behind. 6,000 meters, the trench rim, and the start of the wider deep, and the world grows quieter, then gently less quiet. 5,000 meters, where the valley opens into plain. 4,000 meters, where midwater returns above the seafloor. The abyssal plain becomes a memory beneath us. Marine snow still falls, but we rise through it now. A flake drifts past, then another, then another. At 4,000, the seafloor becomes a soft landscape, far below. 3,000 meters, where patient hunters hover in open water. A lure glows once, then goes dark again. A mouth opens, then closes, and drifting continues. 2,000 meters, where the black-blue feels slightly lighter. Breathe, drift, listen. 1,000 meters, the top edge of midnight water. 1,000 to 200 is a long, gentle climb. 800 meters, then 600, then 400. Small flashes return, like distant porch lights. Counter-illumination turns shadows into softer shapes. 300 meters, then 200 meters, back in twilight. 200 meters, the dimmer switch of the sea. Now we rise toward the surface glow without hurry. 150 meters, where blue begins to thin. 100 meters, where the idea of day is closer. 50 meters, where surface motion can be felt again. 20 meters, where ripples are louder and light can shimmer. 0 meters, where ocean meets air, and the loop can begin again. If you are asleep, you will not hear this part, and that is perfect. If you are awake, you can let the words blur softly. Now we start one last small descent, like a lullaby refrain. 0 meters, a dark mirror of sky. 50 meters, a quiet layer under gentle waves. 100 meters, a soft blue corridor. 200 meters, twilight, and then we drift a little deeper. 300 meters, then 400, with faint scattered light. 500 meters, where signals blink and fade. 600 meters, where the water feels thick and calm. 700 meters, where eyes grow larger in the blue dusk. 800 meters, where silver bodies mirror the dim world. 900 meters, where the last usable light is almost gone. 1,000 meters, midnight again, patient and slow. Pressure rises, but the scene stays peaceful. Food is rare, so movement becomes careful and minimal. Wait, drift, listen. 2,000 meters where darkness is steady. 3,000 meters where time feels wider. 4,000 meters where the deep opens into the abyss. The seafloor becomes a soft landscape far below. Marine snow falls like quiet dust, uninterrupted. 5,000 meters where the plain stretches out of sight. 6,000 meters where trenches begin again in the distance. And the world grows quieter. Now we do not need to go farther. We can rest on the idea of depth, without reaching the bottom. Let the narration thin. Let the sentences shorten. Breath in, breath out. Drift. Listen. Dark water. Soft light. Then quiet. If this helped you rest, you can subscribe for more calm, super long science journeys. And if you feel like it, leave a comment with the depth zone you want next. Sunlit, Twilight, Midnight, Abyss, or Trench. Thank you for drifting with me tonight. Now, we end with quiet.